We're all together today. We're going to start the recording because Baruch Hashem, we have to always keep the personal conversations free from the recording. This is between us, Baruch Hashem. And what we're going to do today is carry on in Torah Aleph. This is something which is going to take a long time, I think. Ashrei Tamim Derech, especially with the way we're learning it. We're learning it really like deep. And learning Torah deep is actually it's one of the most deepest ways of connecting to Hashem, because you have to internalize it. We said you have to also pray on it. After we're learning, you should be thinking about it and pray on it. This terminology that I came up with, authentic intelligence, I think is actually really a legit concept. It might be helpful for people nowadays because there's still going to be so much artificial intelligence.
Yeah. And
I think we have to start making a whole movement of authentic intelligence, because just to cancel out this mass deluge that's coming and already has come of artificial intelligence, where it's not really real. It's not fully coming from the source. Whereas Rabbi Nachman is bringing us to the source. As you can see, every single thing he's saying is about bringing us back to the root of Chachma.
Right.
And one of the wonders of everything is that Hashem brings the shamas together, like we're on a fast day, it's the 10th of Tavis. You know, whether we're fasting or not, it's not the point. It still has that energy, the day. And we have to realize one of the main problems for Am Yisrael that began on the 10th of Tavis was that they weren't connected to their root anymore. So then slowly, the enemy externally could start getting into our minds and our hearts and through the walls of Yerushalayim, and that beginning of destruction and pranusia, the pain and suffering that we've gone through in exile, is brought down. It began on the 10th of Tavis, and that's why it's such a powerful fast day that it can even make us fast on the Erev Shabbos.
Right.
So whether you're doing it or not, once again, that's not the point. It's the energy of the day. And Rabbi Noson's Yotzai, who's today, Rabbi Noson, the Talmud of Rabbi Nachman ben Feiga ben Simcha, so that we have the extra chizuk. Now we're learning Likutei Moharan on a day where the main Talmud, the main scribe, the main Messiah of Rabbi Nachman came through Rabbi Noson, and that is giving us access to a tzaddik that's going to get us away from the externalization of everything that's going on in the world and bring us back to the Pnimiyos. One of the things I got chizuk yesterday was someone sent me a message of feedback about a class I did in London. Right. And it was 4 years ago, it was before Corona, because I was brought there as a potential, this would have been a life-changing situation, whereas a program wanted to maybe bring me on as a rabbi, and my wife would have moved, and I would have been involved with the events and tours, and this is 2019. Imagine in the last 4 years I would have been in London, but what happened was soon after that whole experience and any potential discussion, we were meant to come back to London in like a Pesach time or something, before Pesach to rediscuss. By that point, 2020, there was already Corona. So I got this shir last night. What's the relevance of the shir? Someone sent me a message saying that it really was the first time I've sat and listened to a shir in years, and I listened to the full 27 minutes of it. And nowadays I'll be lucky if I get through a few minutes. 10 minutes would be like the best shir I've heard in a while. I got through the whole thing, and she's like, you know, this is like amazing, I just want you to know. So I said, where are you based? She said, London. I said, well, I'm coming back there in another 2 weeks, and I'm available to do some more classes again. So Baruch Hashem, so I got feedback. It's important that everyone gets the chizuk they need. How's this connecting to what we're learning? Because one of the things the way I learned with you guys, it was more like at-risk guys, that kind of community that I was speaking in front of. So one of the things, I was very silly, like a lot of humor, and humor's really important, I think, nowadays. But secondly, I tried to talk about root things, things that are very fundamental, and that's what Rabbi Nachman's helped me get to, and that's what people relate to nowadays. Because that's one of the advantages of learning Rabbi Nachman, is because you start to understand things that are very deep and relevant. And as Gedalia Fenster, if you've ever heard Gedalia Fenster, he's been an influence on me all these years. He's in the therapeutic world. He's in the addiction world. He has, rehabs, and I've been to them. And he's got when in between half house. He's got all the different centers that you need, detox. So I went to his places, and one of the things we get chizuk from Gedalia is that he brings very small, concise sayings, but he brings it from Rabbi Nachman's teachings, and he says that Rabbi Nachman is like the ultimate like therapist, psychologist, everything a person needs for our generation. Like he brings up all the issues. So that's one of the things we should have in mind when we're learning this, that Rabbi Nachman was a certain type of tzaddik that's talking to our generation.
Right.
And hopefully the point is that it will influence us to be able to now help our generation heal, because it has a lot of pain. Maybe because I think what's happening right now before Mashiach comes, this is really important, with Corona came and then now we've got this war, is that all the pain is now surfacing. Because as you walked in today, you said, am I triggering you? It's not the point what it was, are you triggering me? And I said to you, I'm always triggered right now. Everything's triggering me right now. And I'm not embarrassed to say it. It makes me seem like a chala nefesh, like there's something wrong with me. But in a real way, it's not. It means I'm actually now allowing myself to feel the pain of life, that instead of suppressing it, like the generation before us were able to cover everything up.
Yeah.
Now you have to, if you're not real and you're not facing stuff, it's just not gonna work. You won't function. Yeah? To be able to function in 2023, you have to face your stuff, as Gedalia says, and not stuff your face. Literally. That's the word. Okay. It's a good saying, yeah. Okay, so here we are.
Maybe we could start from Ach again, Machmas, just to kind of go through that.
Yeah. Just funny enough, just about that quote, Esav stuffed his face, yeah?
Right.
That's what lost him the Bechorah. It lost him the Rashis. Whereas we need to get back.
We were just saying yesterday that Yaakov already had that he already had the Rashis. He had the Chachma. And what he really took from Esav was almost like this was the proof.
Yeah, you have to bring it. This is one of the problems in our generation, and you see it at the beginning of the Torah, he mentions it, that it's a war to who's going to have the chashivas, the chain. And there's a war.
Right.
It's not like, firstborn, so now I'm going to just live that way. No, there's going to be challenges to that firstborn. There's going to be challenges to Am Yisrael's mission in the world. And we have to constantly, be strong and prove ourselves. Not because we care what they think, because of the fight for truth and the fight for, our life, literally. Because if we don't demonstrate our chashivas, they want to kill us. They'll create right now they'll create a narrative that will allow the world to create another Holocaust if we don't fight back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, because that's what you see. It's bubbling underneath. There's people wanting us to be destroyed, and if we don't fight back in all different ways, God forbid, it should never happen again. But they want a second Holocaust.
You know what it is? We are the only nation in the world.
Yeah.
It's funny. Everyone says everyone's targeting the Jewish nation. If you really think, I don't know. I don't think there's another nation in the world. Arabs are just scattered across the world and they don't care about each other. They only care about a narrative, but they're not like, if the roles were vice versa, every Jew in the world would take in another Jew, God forbid, And the same with all the other religions.
Yeah,
they're not a nation, there's no connection really between them.
I mentioned it in the shir last night, some of the things my son said, but he saw with his own eyes, like Hamas guys going out with the families when they had to leave, when the soldiers came, and they would take the babies and wrap the babies around their head. So that's their shield, literally. With his own eyes, he saw them shielding themselves with the babies. That's like how evil these guys are. No one else in the world would do something like that. Yeah. It has to be someone sick in the head. To use a baby to protect himself. What is that?
Yeah, they send their children out.
He said all the armament. He said
we send our children out for shlichus.
Yeah, he said they're training them to hate us. He saw the books, hatred in the books. Some of them were in English, and he said he saw the toy weapons that all the kids' rooms had. They're training them to be the next Hamas next. Yeah. And he said he saw in a room filled with armament, which room? The children's room. That's where where generally all the weapons were kept. Mm-hmm.
The world knows it for the most part, and they just don't.
Yeah.
The ones that don't. They don't.
So now it's so clear that between us and them, what we have to do now is an ach machmes she'or seichel godel ma'od. We have to start bringing that light of the seichel, this great light, very great light. To we have to bring it alive. We can't get caught up in all the darkness that's going on. יהיה אפשר לזכוס עליו כי הם על ידי בחינס נון של בחינס מלכוס. So we said that the nun of Chain, Chochma, is Ches, Chain, into the nun, which is Malchus. And he brings the pasuk, the famous pasuk, the Lifnei Shemesh Yonun Shemo, Loshen Malchus.
So what is he saying? Kiyam al yedei b'chinas nun shehu b'chinas malchus. So he's saying mach basar seicha gadol ma'ari afshel zakos elav ki im al yedei b'chinas nun. So what is he trying to say? That the seichel is too strong?
No, there's this tremendous light that needs a kli.
Okay.
It needs a vessel to go into, and that vessel is going to be Malchus. And the way, like we have the sun to the moon, the sun's got this tremendous light.
Is he referring to like the spheres when he's talking about Chachma and all the things, and Malchus? Because Malchus is a sphere.
Yeah, he's talking about Spheres Elyonim. When he quotes these kind of concepts, he's going into Kabbalah. Rabbi Nachman's much more open about Kabbalah than a lot of other Tzaddikim. That's one of the fears a lot of Tzaddikim had about Rabbi Nachman back in the day, because anyone who gives over in such a real way, Kabbalah will create a lot of fear in that
was the
previous
idea,
generations, that he might be revealing too much light.
Well, that's the thing. He did reveal, if you think about it, he revealed too much light at his time, because that light shone down 200 years later. It needed to be strong enough so that it would...
The Eishali, that's the Eishali. I took it up as Berch, as Ad Mashiach, the idea that the Eish is burning till Mashiach comes. So really, it was a tremendous light for that time. But remember, the Tam Chachamim of that generation were very big Kalim. Like Reb Nosson was a huge Av Beistin. He wasn't like, some newbie guy who walks in and grows pears and starts jumping around.
They wanted him to be the chief rabbi. I read the stories. He was a huge Talmud Chacham, and his father-in-law wanted him to be
the Av Beistin of a big city.
And he chose to stick with
Rabbi Nachman. That was a big test for him, like a life of suffering, being connected to a tzaddik, or a life of importance, being a rav of a city. And he chose the life of suffering to be connected to tzaddik, because being connected to tzaddik, but generally anyone who takes on to become a Breslover, usually their life gets a bit like crazy. Like I don't know, like it sort of like comes with the territory. Not that we want Yisurim and suffering, but our hope when we're learning this, like, because one, I don't know if I'm holding a level to call myself a Breslover, but secondly, my hope is that because we're close to Mashiach now, and like this is just preparing us for the time where the light is now ready to be received. So that even in the religious world, where they're more scared of this kind of light, the people will start having the vessel to receive it generally, and there won't be so much misnagdus. And I do think Breslov Torah has become more popularized and mainstream.
What's also interesting is later on in this paragraph, what is he calls the Kli of Malchus, he calls it the Lavana, which is the moon.
Yes.
And so what's interesting is that
the sun shines to the moon.
That the moon is the darkest thing on the planet. Right. And there's nothing darker than the moon, but the moon is only receives its light from the strongest light of the planet, and is the only thing that can really reflect it too. And that's kind of our generation, right?
Yeah,
our generation is
more the generations before.
The generations before were
that's
not
the
as
idea.
Dark as us.
There's a good point there, because Likutei Moharan, why is it called Likutei Moharan? Because it's malaket, it's gathering together. This is brought down by I heard this from, he calls our draw, and it's Asfasim. We're the generation of Asfasim, one of the big Rabbonim in the Keren Ben Yavna world. I've forgotten his name right now. It's a Talmud of the Chaznish. So he brought down this concept that we have to understand that the Likutei Moharan is a likut. This generation is a generation of gathering together. The last Shevet was Dan. Dan gathered all the neshamas. There's a certain Indian before Mashiach comes that we have to learn how to receive. We have to receive the light of all the generations. We have to learn how to bring together all these books, and now bring together all the Tzaddikim in one sefer. There never was such a time where you saw such a range of different Torah in one place. Like even the Shul, Shir David, is a place gathering of all different paths of Yiddishkeit. Weinberger also has that Shita and Eish Kodesh. They were bringing together all the different Tzaddikim. And there's it's become more and more popularized, this concept of a chabura, a group of people learning and connecting to Hashem, where they join together all different paths. And they don't say, I'm specifically Breslov, I'm specifically Chabad. They bring together everything. That's one of the things we'll try and do as well in our learning, because my whole focus is unity, is that I want to bring together Chabad and Breslov and whatever other things we're learning. Even, try to figure out how to understand modern day culture with the Torah of our generation, And it's a matter of gathering it all together. So the Shemesh is shining this light into the Lavana, and the Lavana, what makes it special, the moon, is Deleis Lo Gemari Klum. It doesn't have anything of itself, no light of itself. But ultimately, Malchus will have light of itself. As it says, when Mashiach comes, the moon will shine like as bright as the sun. So the fact that it made the level of bittul, it nullified itself to the Chokhmah, and Malchus became bottled to Chokhmah, then it starts to develop its own shine. And last love, when Mashiach comes, the moon will be as bright as the sun. And that because ultimately then it will start generating its own light. And that means the Kli became lit up. And that's part of what we're trying to do, and that's we're seeing now with Sidkonius, all these righteous women are starting to become lit up. And that's getting us ready for Mashiach. Lit fish. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's a good point. Kamosha Kosov. So now we're going by Esav now. Because why? Because suddenly we see there's a whole nation that's not like that. That's the opposite of what we just spoke about, where they mavaza the bechora. They're not into the chokhmah and the root, the shorish. They don't want the shorish. They want to stuff the face. They don't want to face the stuff. They don't want to go back to the panemius and the root. They just want to fresh, enjoy this world, bigger cars, bigger houses, more luxury. I don't know if you've ever watched much on Netflix, but almost all the films with the murder and all the negative stuff going on, they all have the nicest houses you can imagine. Like not normal, I don't know if that's normal in America, but in Israel it would be like beyond these beautiful, stunning houses, stunning cars, the lifestyle, everything's set up. But what's going on? They're all jealous, hate each other, and end up killing each other. So then they've got nothing because they're all dead. They didn't live a life of purpose. There was nothing to it. It's all just fluff. And that's what the problem with Esav is. He's cash. He's like compared to straw by the Novi. It fills up a lot of space, but inside is not much there. So you take a little flame from Yosef Asadik, who got it from the Eish of Yaakov, Beis Yaakov Eish, Beis Yosef Lahava, Beis Eish of the cash, and the whole room of cash that seems so much, this whole world of physicality that Esav's invested so much in, and you see it just all burns, goes up in smoke in 1 minute. And that the world's worried about that right now. They're worried that any minute the world's going to end. They're feeling this fear that their whole imaginary materialistic focus is going to end soon. And that feeling probably is true, because it can't have established. It's not going to. No empire ever really lasted forever. Rome, they're gone. Yeah. This whole imaginary empire that Esav builds in power, and it doesn't last. So that's what Esav was with. Vaza the bechora, Vaza Esav bechora, Hainu haseichu. So what was he? What's the bechora? The seichu. He was with Vaza the seichu that brings you to the shorish, the ruch, the panemius of everything. That's where we got to this yesterday. Zeh b'chinas harasha, b'chinas lavana, the sitra achra, sha'ala nema v'chafra lavana, v'chulu, zeh b'chinas yetzer tov v'yetzer hara. So they're making ashamed. They're embarrassed or embarrassing the holiness of Chochmah and the Bechorah.
And the b'china malchus harasha.
That is the aspect of the kingship of evil. That's what Esav's developed.
So a lot of
he's developed this kingship of wickedness.
B'china is a trigger word.
Yeah, because what does it mean? An aspect.
Right.
We're constantly.
B'china is in yeshiva.
Oh yeah, the opposite. Yeah. So this is a positive thing, because now we're going to turn your b'china of yeshiva into a good thing, because this is now.
Everyone needs to know Mishnayos about peh.
Yeah, no, not that kind of pressure. This bechina here is connecting everything, making sense of everything. This is a positive bechina. Because now once you clarify everything is an aspect of this and this is an aspect of that. So we've said good positive ones. Chochmah, Bechoira, wisdom. These are all good bechinas. And then you have the not good bechinas of Malchus HaRasha, connected to the Lavana of the Sitra Achra, the dark side of the moon, like Pink Floyd sang about. Yeah.
Who? Right, is
Roger
Gilmore.
he's alright, but Roger Waters is
Roger Waters.
he's the bad dude. David Gilmour's actually.
Roger Waters.
He's a friend of my uncle. She'ala b'nei ma'achafa lavana v'chili. Zeh b'chinas yetzer tov v'yetzer. Yeah, I mean Roger Waters is bad. Yeah.
He's the worst.
My uncle doesn't. He worked with him for years.
It's interesting that like the music that really is in many ways the deepest, right?
Yeah, but there was some
ways.
good people in that band. It's not all bad.
Just saying it's not so bad.
He himself is banned, but not the whole band. Because as I said, some of the guys there are still, they're not like they didn't become like him. Thank God. Lo yachvel zeh b'chinas malchus rasha hisavana sitra achsha alinama chafa lavana chili zeh b'chinas yetzer tov yetzer hara. This is the aspect of the yetzer tov, the good inclination, and the yetzer hara, the bad inclination.
Well, let's slow down here for a second. Yeah.
Sure.
Trying to like piece it all together here again.
Yeah.
So he's right now, Nachman or Nassan, is piecing together, almost like a map. A map on how to be mystic. Somehow this is all going to circle back, I'm assuming.
Sure.
Right, and so first he mapped out the map of Chachma. Right. We said Chachma. We said Seichel. Seichel is from Chachma. Chachma is from Yaakov Avinu. That was the Bechorah that he got, and that's also the beginning of the Ches, which is Chios.
Yeah, that energy, that was a big one.
That's the energy, right? And that is also...
It's in everything. Energy comes from the Ches, from Chochmah.
Right. Which is, I'm not sure if he's going in order of like, from, I don't say bottom to top, but it's like, meaning is, Seichel is Chachma, Chachma is Yaakov Avinu, and Yaakov Avinu is Ches, which I guess the letter, maybe it's saying Ches is in the letter Ches.
Yeah.
Letter Ches.
Chain, yeah.
Chain.
Chain is this gilui of this Chochmah to Malchus.
And then the Bechina of Nun, which is the Bechina of Malchus.
Yes.
Right, so because the whole world was created from the Aleph bet. So right now we know what the letter Ches and the letter Nun comes from, which is Chain.
Yeah.
So Chain is, I just realized that now. So Chain is Ches. So we say someone has Chain, it could be the deepest of compliments.
Yeah.
You know.
It doesn't just mean he has a grace like the way we look at the Greek culture.
I just saw a Seinfeld episode about that grace.
Yeah. People talk about finding grace. So Oprah always talks about finding
this
grace.
Person has grace, and then in the episode,
like, grace also grace in God or whatever that means. Chain. When we daven for every day, we say Chain Elikim V'Adam.
Right.
You should find Chain in God and man. That's something we pray for in Birkas Hamazon when we bench and we eat bread. Yeah, but the idea here is that the Chain is much deeper than that. It's explaining the Kabbalah, the Panemius of Chachma connecting to Malchus, wisdom connecting into the Kli, the vessel, to receive it. So then, let's go ahead. Zeh b'chinas, so the Yetzer Tov's fighting with the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Tov Nikra Misakin V'Chochem, yeah, and that's a pasuk in Keheles, Misikain V'Chochem, and that's b'chinas Malchus. She b'chinas Aniya V'Dala V'Daleis Lei Gemari Klum. And this is what we said before, that the idea of why is it so crucial that it's connected to Malchus? Because Malchus has the aspect of Aniyah, which is like poverty or not like poverty in money necessarily, but like a certain way of living. Like the guys who are really successful, they don't get caught up with the ashiras, the wealth. They'll wear simple clothing and they'll be simple in how they live, they function. If they have a lot of money, they'll use the money to help other people. Yeah? Right. And that's where the assurance comes out in Sadaqah and Chesed. And Dala. Dala means also kind of poverty. Yeah, these are two different words of poverty. Aniyah v'Dala. Dala say Gemari Klum. There's nothing to it. That's Malchus. Malchus is that it's bittul. I'm empty of, I don't have anything. Ki imma shebekabbalas macham. Then from that because they're in that state of Malchus, they are ready to be able to receive from Chachma, and that's the Yetzer Tov. What makes someone? What's a good inclination? Is it's willing to be humble and receive from Malchus, from Chachma. Excuse me, not from Malchus, from Chachma, to receive from the true Chachma. It's connected to its shorish, connected to the tzaddik. It's connected
Right.
to the root in everything. And that's the Nakuda of Malchus B'Kedusha, that's the Eitz Tov. The Eitz Tov is constantly connecting itself to the tzaddik and to the root of everything. And that gives you the good inclination, therefore, is empowered by the truth, by emes, by true wisdom, by the truth of creation.
Right, that's why they call it Aniyah, because it's I guess we saw that like Malchus was like this Indian of the Lavana.
Yeah.
Or Malchus is almost the Kli.
Yeah.
So when someone's in the state of Aniyas,
in a healthy way, like good poverty.
Right.
Good poverty means
saying
humility.
You're so
ready to
poor,
receive.
You're so poor, all you have is money.
It's interesting because you can always learn out from some of these rich guys out there. I was listening to an interview of Jeff Bezos, one of the richest people in the world, and with Amazon and everything, was talking to Lex Friedman, who's also a Jew. Lex Friedman. I don't think Bezos is, but Lex is a Jew. And he's interviewing him with very good questions. And one of the things he brought out of him was that in his policy had this concept called a new day. This is a new day. Well, a new like deal. Everything was new all the time. So I was like, what's Pshat? Like you're an old company already, like from the 80s or 90s, you're a startup. Why did you constantly use that as like the top of the contracts? As like this is a new beginning for the company, and he said it was what he did, Jeff, and this is very deep, and this connects to Rebbe Nachman. He obviously must have been exposed to a lot of wisdom. This guy, he said that he's very into the concept of renewal, and if you understand from this concept of Malchus, by constantly emptying yourself out of any agenda, this is what even Jeff Bezos said. He said, you empty yourself out of any agenda, any past narrative, any past approach to business. Maybe the principles are still there generally, but even that you're willing to elevate and transform and review. But the concept, you're constantly coming into business with a freshness, a renewed approach. That is how Amazon became so massive so quick and so huge, because it constantly was tapping into this concept of renewal.
Well,
so it didn't stay where it was.
Book business,
and now it's like Amazon Prime, and they've got all these computer-wise, and now he's sending off rockets to the moon, and whatever else he's doing.
AI. So he's going to be making people.
I don't know, but what we need to do is realize that the key to their success, the fast success, was this concept. He tapped into it. I don't know if he tapped into the Kedusha side of it, and that I'm not sure. But he got maybe he learnt with some Breslov or something, or someone, a very spiritual person. He knew that you had to empty yourself out of wisdom to be able to renew constantly.
That's what the mikvah is about.
Yeah, and that brings down, then you can receive Chachma. But Yetzer Hara Nikra Melech Zakein Kasil. And the Yetzer Hara is this Melech Zakein Kasil, meaning it's this old Melech, it's a foolish Melech, and it believes that it's something. It doesn't have any bittul. It believes I'm a Melech. I'm the Melech. All these the whole swag of the world. Like guy comes along and I'm the man. And I'm the man. Everyone's fighting over who's the man. That's the opposite. That's a foolish king, because it doesn't allow you to receive any of the new wisdom that Hashem's pouring into creation. So you're just stuck in whatever narrative you're stuck in. You see even with Esav, what's he complaining about? Everything Yaakov stole from me, and it's all old stories. Why don't you become the Bechor? Yitzchak was willing to give it to you. So you go fight for it in a pure way. What's his way? Victim. Oh, it was stolen. Like the Palestinians, they stole the land. Well, what did you produce? Palestinians. Well, let's have a look at what you've done the last 30 years. Don't blame on the Jews. What did you do?
The craziest
made tunnels. You made weapons in your children's rooms. You're teaching your kids how to become terrorists. What have you done with your time? And you're telling me that's freedom fighting. No, it's not. You've enslaved your people to a death cult. So you've done the opposite.
And they're still stuck in that idea of the Melech Zakein Uksil. They've never been renewed. They're stuck in the mindset.
And they allow these evil people to gun it from them and go live it up in Quetta, in the sunshine over there. While they're poverty stricken, and they have a force
living in an idea
to fight that, and they didn't.
75 years ago, that's not even true. But even if it was, which it's not, they're so stuck in this idea from so long. Imagine if we stayed around Germany, still till today, crying that everyone stole our land.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
We didn't get our land back. I don't know.
No.
My grandparents never got their houses back.
We never got our houses and our money back from Switzerland that was stolen and everything else.
My great grandmother used to get checks from Germany, but I can't imagine
reparations.
It was much.
That was a joke. But the point was that we just went on, rebuilt our life, renewal.
Yeah, renewal. Yeah.
There's the malchus of the negative is all about victimhood.
Yeah.
Which is what the world's consumed with right now. This whole
100%.
victimhood nonsense
Within ourselves.
And it's holding them all back.
Right.
Like the whole, you could go into the black culture, this whole BLM nonsense.
Right.
They're all just thieves, the black BLM people. They're liars. And the ones who they're fighting for are being stolen from. They're stealing from their own people because they're not empowering their people.
Right, they rob their own pharmacies in their own neighborhoods.
They're not empowering their own people. They're not saying you have a potential to become. All they're talking about is the old narratives, the old stories, slavery, and people are like, we're talking about slavery still. Get on with it.
Yeah,
the Jewish people, we can still go on about the Holocaust and not do nothing. Right. We've got to go ahead. Yeah. Right, the only reason we bring up the Holocaust is so that you don't try to do it again to us. Right. But otherwise, we're full on we're into the next stage of
Rebbe was a pioneer with that. He was very against the narrative of the Holocaust, and this was not today. This was 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Just soon after.
I read this in his biography that the saying "Shacharit zu sein Yid."
Yeah, that whole thing.
He hated that.
Yeah, it's difficult to be a Jew. He hated that mindset.
Saying. His mindset was the opposite. And
Moshe Feinstein also was against that as well. They're not busy with the chafetza and in chachma and seichel. Like what she'enu chafetza, they're not like that's not what they're wanting. Chafetz, chafetz,
right?
Yeah, chafetz chaim. We want life. Yeah, the chafetz choosing life. Choose. They're not choosing in chachma and intellect. Lo yachbot kasil b'tavuna. Yeah, and so lo yachbot is like it does not end like the foolishness in understanding. That's what they're doing. They're just never-ending foolishness in their understandings. So like we see that in the media world, the whole world right now is never-ending in its foolishness. It's like Ben Shapiro's show is literally now today. Let's see what clown world is. What's going on in clown world? What new crap have they come up with? Excuse my language. Yeah.
But the sad part is that you get stuck in this. The Sitra Acher is the beginning of the Sitra Acher, the Malchus. Beginnes Malchus, the Sitra Acher.
So he translates it here. It's in Proverbs. The fool does not desire understanding, but only to bear his heart. That's the full pasuk.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're not trying to understand the truth. They're just they're just to bear his heart. It doesn't say the full pasuk in Likutei Moharan, but that's what it is.
Right.
Canal, like we learnt above, Sarek kol echad litain koyach lebechinas malchus kedusha. It's gaba al malchus sitra achar. This is a perfect thing to learn on a 10th of Tevis. Every one of us needs to give koyach, strength, to the aspect of malchus of holiness, is to misgabe, to rule over the malchus of the other side. So right now, like my son come home, what are we going to do? We're going to use today to do tshuva, and then we're going to come to Shabbos. 3:45 is mincha already. Can you believe it? It's been a tight day today.
Oh man!
So we've got to get to Mincha, and we're going to do a whole Kabbalah Shabbos. While most of the people there will be fasting, and it's the energy of a fast day. And we're going to be tuning into how can we bring down this malchus of the Yetzer Hara of the other side, to bring it down towards Bimas Gaba through the malchus of Kedusha, to bring back the holy kingship. The concept of holy kingship is that Chochmah should be connected to malchus. Yeah, the true wisdom, the root of everything, should be bound up with everything. Right. That was how we began the Torah. So, Kamoj Shama Rebbe Zechron Lebracha, and this is what the Chazal is saying in Brachas. La'yam Yagiz Adam Yetzer Tov Yetzer Hara, famous Gemara, that always a person should tremble his Yetzer Tov, his good inclination, on his bad inclination. Ayidei Mash and Nosen Koach LeMalchus Kedusha. Ask a question, and by what do we give koach to this Malchus Kedusha? Ayidei Torah. What's going to give us ability to fight, as the Gemara says in Brachas, the Yetzer Tov versus the Yetzer Hara? What's going to give us that strength? And that's how we began the Torah. With Torah, yeah?
Right.
That's what's going to give you and me the strength to fight Yetzer Hara. There's not enough to say, look, I'm a very mindful person, I'm into the mindfulness movement. That's not enough.
Right.
If you don't have clear Torah, Shas, Poskim, Halachas, It's the lechem. It's as Tanya says, it's the muzzin for the neshama.
Right.
It's the nourished sustenance for your soul, and you have to feed it.
I don't hear people quoting Rebbe Nachman saying these things so often.
That's what we have to learn.
Right. Yeah.
If you learn inside, it's a whole different thing.
Also, just an interesting.
And what people say. People say all kinds of stuff.
I think that he's saying that you actually have to be miskaber over the malchus, the sitra achar, as opposed to saying like stay away from it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
fight
it.
Is not like
there's no escape. You're gonna have to fight it.
Where you go, it comes. You have to actually own it. You have to.
Yeah, that's it. There's no escape.
You have to conquer it.
I'd love to
just go to India.
I tried it once, just living in Misharim kind of lifestyle of just learning in Kollel with Tzaddikim and I was up all night with Bochrim, but I was always in the Daled Amas of Torah, and I tried to stay away, and then eventually someone put me on email because I had to help fundraise a little bit for the institution, and then once I was on email and now suddenly I'm like, got a few phones and I'm doing social media marketing for people. So because I had, not because the Yetzer Hara pulled me into that, the Yetzer Hara world, because I was like step by step being guided even by my Rabbonim that I have to now go more and more into the world, because it's not you had your incubation for a little bit, but now you have to go, and it's part of having a wife and kids that forces you to go make a living, which forces you to go interact with everything else out there and take it on. But you need to come, like Yaakov Avinu went to learn Torah in Shiva Shem Ve'eva 14 years. You didn't just go straight from whatever to... He was years and years of learning before he went and took on Lavan, and took on Esav, and took on everybody. Yeah? So we have to realize that's what we're doing.
Well, what did he learn there?
There was Torah. There was Sefer Yetzirah. There was Torah from Avraham Avinu, Adam Arishon, Noach. There was lots of Torah. They had Sfarim. They had their books of that time. Yeah, but Avraham Avinu wrote a lot of Torah. Shu Osik b'Koyach. We have to do this with the Torah, with Koyach, with strength. This is the real dagesh, importance. It's not just enough to learn Torah. Torah is not just going to be the solution. It has to be Torah with strength, with Koyach. And that's the whole thing we were saying before. We have to use our intellect. We have to think. Yeah, Jordan Peterson, is he taking a walk through the park in his life? Or is he toiling with his mind?
Is he a Jew?
He's not a Jew, but he's toiling with his mind to understand things. What's the difference between us and him? He uses his mind and based on text, whatever he's accessing, Bible or whatever. We have endless chokhmah from Hashem, from Tzaddikim. So we've got a plus, but what's the problem with the Jewish people right now? Is that we're becoming lazy with our minds. These phones make us lazy. Smartphones make us dumb. We're trying to use every Google and AI and everything do work for us. Yeah. Yesterday I sent out a post for a company with advice from someone who does social media content marketing. His advice was to use ChatGPT and some other program for the imagery, some other AI program, and that was the post I put out, and everyone liked it. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, but back in the day I would actually toil to figure out the blurb, what to write. And then I'd toil to find an image that would come. So it just saved me hours of work. But the problem was my mind didn't do anything. Yeah,
that's the problem.
And that's where you're no longer using your mind with koyach. And that's where the Torah. So the answer will be, if I can make Panasa very easily in that sense, in terms of the exertion of the mind, so then what do I need to now put that energy towards? Torah. So Baruch Hashem, here we are early in the morning on a fast day learning. She'osik b'Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu Zichron Lebracha Sham le'olam yargiz. We have to tremble our Yetzer Tov on the Yetzer Hara, says the Gemara. Azol mutav, and if you're successful, good. Im lav yasik b'Torah, because it goes on to say in that Gemara, what happens is you're fighting a Yetzer Tov. Your Yetzer Tov, Chochmah to Kedusha, you're humble, everything's flowing good. But now what happens? Yetzer Hara is starting to win over you. He's saying, no. I'm making fun of this wisdom. Yeah, the rabbi, he's got yogurt on his jacket. So look at what Torah Talmud Chacham looks like. Yeah, whereas look at these guys. Patrick Ben David or whatever. Just grab some famous guy. Look how suave and smart he looks. I'd rather hang out with that dude. Yeah, than the rabbi who's got yogurt on his jacket. Yeah. So that's where. Yeah. So that's where the Yetzer Hara starts kicking off. And saying look, the guy who's not the Kedusha, I'd rather be with the other dude. Yeah. I mean, he's actually a pretty good guy, the PBD guy, but compared to a lot of people out there. But anyway, he's a guy who's done very well, and he's pretty intelligent and spiritually focused as well. I'm quite impressed with him. But nevertheless, if it's between him and a rabbi, I have to go to the rabbi. Sorry, because the rabbi is going to be the one who's going to give over the real chachma, because it's without any filters. It's the real deal. Whereas the other guy, like, some of it's good, some of it isn't. He's interviewing Mike Tyson.
Missing
you can always get something from Mike Tyson, but there's also stuff I don't want to get from Mike Tyson. Yeah.
Well, they're missing the seichel part of chachma.
Yeah.
Right. The seichel, which would be the finding the deepest,
the
reason, the meaning behind everything.
Here that's shorish, the root, panemius.
Here it's
Torah takes us to that root level. And that's the thing. So then that's why we have to go to Torah, because the Yetzer Tov is not help. We're getting caught up with other stuff. So what's the answer? We have to go learn Torah. That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, after all the good podcasts and everything else out there, we have to turn that off and go learn Torah with koyach. Not enough just to learn it superficially. And you know what one rabbi said? Rabbi Anan, heard of Alan Another? He once said. Alan Another. He said, "I'm very happy you're watching my YouTube videos. I'm very happy that you're, listening to my audios and all these other rabbis and everything." He said, sometimes you just got to turn that all off and open up a sefer. Do it the way it was meant to be done. Learn the Torah the way it's supposed to be done, with a sefer, with a chavrushas like we're doing, and learn it with a meilis, make an effort to understand it. It
used to be that there were a lot of, I remember when I was in high school or basementers, people would record shiurim, with those little recording things. And a lot of magidei shir did not like that, because they wanted you to come to shir knowing this is your only chance of hearing it, and don't slack off, because you have the recording for later. Like, if you missed it, you're gonna have to go to your friend and try to pluck out what was going on.
Right. So that's the point. We have to make the effort. And it says here, the Gemara, Kedushin Lamed Beis. This is a famous Gemara. In Pogabach, Manuvel Zeh. He comes to this maneuver. You encounter this maneuver. He comes to you. And he's like, let's go club in, town. Let's go to the casino. Even in a frat, unfortunately, there's a chevra of guys. They're playing poker. Let's get together weekly and play poker, smoke joints, do weed, this, that. The Yetzer is everywhere, yeah? What do you say to him? And this is what I did to one of the guys who actually said this to me. Come play poker with me. I literally said, no, mashka'eu lebeis midrash. I dragged him into the base midrash and I started learning with him. That's that guy. Sure. He was trying to get me to come play poker. I went and took him into the base midrash and learned with him. And that's what you do with the Torah. Go learn. Through the Torah, it gives you the strength of Malchus Kedusha.
Right. So now I just want to define that within the Kabbalistic terms of Malchus. So through Torah, we're giving the koach Malchus to Kedusha for the Malchus, and we're saying Malchus is
of holiness.
Malchus is the kli. Right, so we're taking that kli of Malchus, and we're using that Malchus now for Torah. The Malchus for Kedusha.
Malchus goes together with Torah, because Torah brings us to Malchus Kedusha.
That's really where sometimes we see like non-Jews, and they have almost like you were saying, these guys, they have the
swag.
They have the swag. They have also the mindset. They sound like a Mussar Rebbe.
Yeah, some of them are very motivated.
And it's almost like they're using the Malchus, they're using the Chachma, but they're missing the
Shorish, the root, the Anivis, humility.
And they're not evil people either.
No, they're not. They're good people, aren't they?
It's almost like they've tapped into 90% of the formula.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we should realize that Jews are everywhere. Their wisdom is everywhere. So we've influenced society. You come across like a guy like Dr. Lieberman. He's written like New York bestsellers, and he's become a firm, doctor. And his books are amazing on how to get rid of anger and things that are very practical. And the world now has full access. Yeah, full access. He gives it over in their language. Gedalia Fenster gives it over in their language. He's giving over Rabbi Nachman in the world's language. You know how many non-Jews he has in his centers that are listening now, are learning about Rabbi Nachman? They're like, that Rabbi Nachman stuff, I want to know more about it. They come to him, they ask him. He's getting a following in the non-Jewish world. They want to know about this Rabbi Nachman. You know? Well, I was by Rav Orish for 5 years. I worked with him. Yeah, we worked together. I worked with Rav Orish. Yeah, he was the boss. But we worked as colleagues. We did a lot. We went traveled. We with his institutions, and we shared a lot of emunah. And one of the things that blew me away the most was his ability to impact the non-Jewish world, not just the Jewish world. Right. I remember once he went to Houston. The majority of the meetings, and each meeting was not cheap, because I know that because I was involved with the whole, the Gabbai style, the management of the tour, like in the terms of organizing all the finances and the money and everything. It was not cheap to meet with the rabbi for 15 minutes, half an hour. And in Houston, for example, it was majority non-Jews who came to see us. And they just wanted to just talk to him about Hispodidus. Yeah. That's what they came to speak to him about, Hispodidus. And some of them traveled hours just to have the opportunity to meet the Holy Rav Orish and speak to him about talking to a God. Right. That's what they cared about. And this is the point that, we are going to be all a goyim, but first we have to be all. We have to become light. But where's the light going to come? How did they get that light? It's because they toiled. They made effort. You know how many hours of Hispodidus, Gedalia always says this, but even more so Rav Orish, how many hours of talking to Hashem went into that to generate that light? How many hours of learning? How much hours of investment? We have to realize we have to fill up our spiritual bank account. That's what we're going to do.
Right. It says that Nachman, I was reading in that book, The Wisdom of Nachman.
Yeah. It
says that he went and he davened and he said every piyut and every tehillim and everything. It just wasn't enough.
Sure.
And that's how he found Hispodidus.
Yeah. Shu bechinas nun. Let's try to finish off this paragraph.
Yeah, okay.
Chias min chochma. The chias comes from the chochma. She bechinas ches. Remember we learned this already before. The aspect of ches. The energy comes from the wisdom. And that's the aspect of the ches. Nechabe niskashe ches v'hanun. Now he's explaining out what we learned before. Like you said, he'll get into it more. Chias min chochma. She bechinas ches. Nechabe niskashe ches. And that's when the light of the moon becomes like the light of the sun, because he joins Chochmah to Malchus. Because there come, and this is the idea that it gets up, as Noifel, as I know from his battle Malchus Arasha. So what happens as soon as Malchus Kedusha goes up, who falls down? It's always that balance. As soon as Yaakov gets up, Esav falls down. As soon as Chochmah to Kedusha goes up to and brings up Malchus, because it's humbled itself, and the Levana is now shining, then what happens? The nation of Esav falls, and the nation of the Russia, the evil Malchus, falls. There's always this balance in the world. And through this eternal battle, and maybe it's not eternal, but at least in this world, this galactic battle, excuse me, I got hiccups. I can't drink anything, so this galactic battle, the Malchus to Russia falls. Let's go. As I know from his battle, Malchus to Russia, and then falls and becomes nullified. The Malchus to Russia. K'moshe Kosev in Asher ki yesharim darchei Hashem, because the straight ones go in the path of Hashem. Tzadikim yochim bom, and tzadikim they go in this way. B'shayim yikshalu bom, and the b'shayim, like Esav, they stumble. Yaakov goes successfully in the straight way and is able to go in his way, and the Peshaim, they get caught up in their evil. Right. Eventually, the machines can't take over them that they created and invested their whole life in. Yeah, Darchei Hashem. Excuse me, that is the Darchei Hashem. Hainu Torah, V'ayidei Sadikim, Shedevekim Malchus Kedusha, because Sadiq are Davik in the Malchus of holiness. Heimnis Nechaschim, Mekablim, Koyach Ayidei Zeh. And they are strengthening and receiving the koach through this. B'shayim yachshlem, boom. And the Peshaim are stumbling in this. B'chinas Malchus Arasha, B'chinas Yetzirah, Shenofel, V'nachna Ayidei Torah. And how are they all going to fall? How's this whole battle win? How do we do it? One word, simple, or two words. Torah b'koach. Learning Torah with strength. Right. Learning Torah with energy, with chiyas, connecting Chochmah to Malchus. That is chayin. That is what chayin is. It has to be Torah with koach. Because the Malchus is not going to makabel it unless it's done in a strong way. that's the only way that the Torah is going to be received, is when it's done with strength, with energy. So that's why we have to have the confidence to learn with strength and energy, and realize that with that we'll bring everything back to Kedusha. Amen.
Amen.
It was good learning.
Yeah.
Important. And that shows you, Rabbi Nachman wants strong learning of Torah. He wants you to finish Shas. He wants you to learn Halacha.
Right, you don't know that part about it. I mean, I don't know that part.
He wants you to learn Halacha. Any Breslover that I learned with that was real grounded Breslover would tell me, do not come to me to learn Likutei Moharan until you've had your Seder in Gemara, and your Seder in Chumash, and your Seder in Halacha. It has to be strong learning.
Yeah. Yeah, like Rebbe Tzvi Cheshin.
Yeah, he's in the mirror.
He's in the mirror. He like knows Shas and everything. He knows it all.
And then he gives over Rabbi Nachman. After he's learned through the Niglas Torah, then he'll get to the Pnimis Torah. But not to only learn Pnimis Torah. You have to balance it out. One of the things, the Chavrushas I have in the week is in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. I'm learning Daf Yomi, thanks to Rebbe Stefansky. I have to have my Chumash Rashi. I have to have my basic Torah covered.
Right.
I have to. I'm listening to a lot of Shirim from other Rabbonim.
Right.
I have to have the basic level of Torah. And it's not basic. That Torah is also very deep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I did once, I went through all of Mishnah Berurah, and I wrote next to it like a commentary that brings the basic halacha into Pneumius. And Rabbi Nosson, one of the most powerful things what he did was create Likutei Halachas. And that's bringing together all the halachas of Shulchan Aruch and bringing it to Rabbi Nachman's Torahs. He bridged the two worlds.
Maybe we'll learn that next.
Yeah, Likutei Halachas is very, very, very important and very special. And he also goes very well together with Likutei Tefillas. Davening on those Torahs as well, and that's what we should do with this. We should use this time today in Shabbos to learn and daven on the concepts. It will help us to strengthen our Yiddishkeit and in a real way, in a very real way, and get to true energy.
And through that tzchus, Hashem should continue to watch over your son.
Amen. Boruch Yitzchak Ben Masha. He's going to actually be going back to the base on Shabbos, unfortunately, and that. I mean, that's.
Well, we say it's a schus, right?
It's a schus. And
jealous of his Shabbos.
Yeah, and then he's going to go after that back to Gaza, and there's a lot of big missions to take care, a lot of big things to do over there.
He's watching over Shabbos. That's what's happening.
True. MS. We're learning today, tomorrow. We'll try to get through the main parts of this Torah. And no problem. And we're learning the schus. My son has gone back to Gaza, and we don't know exactly how long again. Last time it was 75 days. This time it could be, who knows? We don't know. It could be a few weeks. We don't know how long the mission is, how long they need them for. But it's definitely all very serious. So we need to have in mind all the soldiers and Boruch Yitzchak Ben Masha, and they should go there with success and come back the Shalom. And we're looking forward to spend another beautiful Shabbos like we just had now.
Amen.
And he was very excited to be part of the community and see everybody, and it was very special. So we're learning a Mechoma, which is an interesting connection to what we just said with Yaakov and Esav. Yeah, we said that there's a Mechoma between the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. Which is, I'm not setting up right now. Sorry. Malchus of Rasha versus the Malchus of Yaakov and Tzaddikim. Yeah, this is the war that's going on. Bechinas Malchus, she bechinas Aniya v'Dala v'Daleis Lei Gemari Klum. So we said that the real key by Malchus is it doesn't have anything. So one of the things that you should know, like the Sfiras Elyonim, are also connected to Shabbos, Shabbos is this concept of the 7 days, the concept of seven. So it has a connection to the Sfiras, and Shabbos is Malchus. So one of the ways to understand this Sfira of Malchus, of having nothing of its own, is Shabbos, because there's a certain bittul. We don't do malacha. We don't do any malacha Shabbos, so we have the opportunity. We don't do any work. So because there's no yesh, there's no ego, there's no. How can I? Shabbos, it's Hashem's day. It's a day of neshama, and that's very important to understand in a real time way and a weekly way. Also, I would say being married as well. If you're a real husband, then you understand. Just
Right.
joking around. You know,
Shabbos is the bittul.
yeah, they're bittul. You're going to be there for the wife, be there for the kids, be there for the community.
Clean up.
Yeah, clean up. And then what? Then you'll be able to makabelet machachma. Then you'll be able to receive the light of Shabbos, the light of Chachma, the Panemius, yeah, the inner Torah, and that gives strength to the Yetzer Tov versus the Yetzer Hara. He says with Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman, and this is Torah Aleph, to me may Ashrei to me may derech. Yetzer Hara nikra. This is the bottom of the page, yeah. Yetzer Hara nikra on this page. On yours, where is it? It's this Yetzer Hara nikra. This is where we got to last week. Zachen Melach Zachen Kasil B'chinas Malchus Sitcha Achra She Chafsa B'Chachma V'Seichel. That there is no chafetza, there's no desire and wisdom and intellect. B'chinas Lo Yachbas Kasil Tuvuna V'Chili. Yeah, I think this is where we got to. Yeah. Oh no. We got all the way to the end of the paragraph. Sorry, we'll read it again anyway. It's good to go over it. Sar kol echad litein koach lebechinas malchus kedusha les gaba or malchus the sitra achra, and that's why every person needs koach. This is the important point. This is how we're going to give ourselves the encouragement we need, the strength. And it's interesting. Chochma is also osius. As the Balatani says, koach ma, koach ma. Where do I get my strength from? From Hashem, by being bottled, by having ma. You see how Chabad and Breslov, they link up again and again, because once you're learning deep Panemius inner Torah, there's going to be a link. Koyach bechinas malchus the kedusha is gaba al malchus the sitra achra. By putting that strength in, doing everything with koyach, with energy, with chiyas, with rotzen, that gives you power to then to misgaba on the malchus of the other side. Kamosha Amru, the kingship of the other side. Kamosha Amru, Rabbi says Zechon Lebrach La'alam Yagiz Adam Yetzer Tov or Yetzer Hara. This is the famous Gemara in Brachas that a person needs to every day have his Yetzer Tov tremble against his Yetzer Hara. Now the problem is that's not always going to work. Like if it's just you and the Yetzer Hara, it could be a chance he'll, especially say for example, let's give an example, a phone. You have a phone, you're lying in bed at night, you didn't put the best filter on for whatever reason, a lot of people are having serious with that still. And you're lying in bed now, no one's around, it's you, your wife's asleep, everything's asleep. It's you and the phone. And you have a million things you could do and watch. You could post something inspiring, you could learn something, and most likely what the Yetzer Hara does is make you look at something which is going to ruin your neshama, yeah? Mm-hmm. This is like in the sort of test for most people, not anyone who hasn't yet figured that one out. What's going to give strength to the Malchus? Torah. The only way you're going to really control that Yetzer Hara, because the Yetzer Hara, for example, for looking at things you shouldn't, is very strong, especially now when you have it in your hand and no one needs to know about it. Yeah, that only way you can really overcome that is by Torah. She osek b'koyach that you learned that morning. We learned Likutei Moharan, and it reminded you when you're on the plane, when traveling back to New York or the other way around, coming back to the Holy Land. So not everything is to be watched. Some of the stuff, like nowadays, like what used to be like you have to go somewhere special and find such a dirty thing. You can now turn on the Netflix and it's right in front of your eyes. There. It doesn't. It's not even like you have to go look for it. It's like everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that's even like Netflix is still a mainstream site. Like that's not going off into the dark web or anything else like
Vice
that.
versa, though. You think about it. It gives you now the
in a positive way.
Positive way. You're just doing anything. You're being misgaber all over your.
So one of the things that gives chizuk to people when they see someone learning on the plane, or they see someone. The other day someone told me that he saw someone learning on the plane. He was in business, and the other guy was in business, and he saw this guy the whole journey learning with a smother. So he said to his friend, "I'm going to give him $18,000." His friend says, "Well, he's in business. Maybe he doesn't need it." He said, "No, he's the kind of guy. He looks like real serious dude, and even if he doesn't need the money, he'll give it to the guy who does."
Wow.
So he gave him the money on the plane. My friend was just telling me like 2 days ago, or whatever, before Shabbos, that this is a story, and this guy's on his way now to Israel to help break through the missions and help with the soldiers. The same rich dude. But the point is that the guy was learning with koyach, with energy, impressed the other person. That's that. Because it shows that this guy's got control a little bit of his inclinations. He's not being controlled by what most people just do. Come on. If you're successful, great. Im lav yasik the Torah, and if not, learn Torah. So not everyone can control the Yetzer Hara just by controlling it. The real way is going to come through, and as we said, Rebbe Nachman, he's not telling you just to sit and float around and be a hippie or talk to Hashem all day.
Right.
He's telling you to learn Torah with koyach. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the way that Torah is going to help, and it's based on Chazal, because one of the big things Rebbe Nachman is you need to finish all of Torah every year. They have such a shita.
Wow.
Now I don't know any Besov who maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know, but the idea of learning all of Shas B'kiyas in 1 year is a lot. I go for Daf Yomi personally. I go for day by day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on that level to do the whole thing in 1 year. For me, it would just be reading. It would be
When
pressure.
he's saying Yasser Torah, he's also talking about then
The Ian as well.
Well,
Slowly.
he's also talking about the afterwards part too.
Oh, once you've learned Torah.
praying on to be.
Oh, very good. That's a real nakuda that he's going to get into, and we're going to see that
It's
again.
a double-edged sword. He's
Amazing.
right there.
Kamosha Amor B'Seinu Zechon LeBrocha Kedushin Im Pagabach Menu V'Zeh Mashkei LeBeis Midrash. One of the things that I got chizuk from my son is he has a chitas with him. I got it from one of the original shlichim, and he's learning it with the soldiers in the war. Like he sent me a video. I could play it to you if you'd be interested, of them lighting the menorah in Gaza. I want to share it with Rav Shlomo, but I don't want to put it online because there's soldiers' faces in Gaza, and I think it would be.
Also get in trouble maybe.
Yeah, no, just careful what you share online from the army, because especially when it's other people. Like it's my own son. Like I believe he'll have Shmei Eliona for the chizuk that he gives people, but this is them lighting the menorah. That's my son's voice making a bracha. Now they're inside Gaza. They can't generate light and sound because then this terrorist will spot them and throw a missile there or attack that house. So the whole time you'll hear the other soldiers shushing them, telling them like they're getting too excited. You suddenly watch the energy levels. In Gaza, lighting the menorah. Room full of soldiers in some house in Gaza. Suddenly watch the energy go. Listen, start getting a high voice. And suddenly you hear all those soldiers go, shh, 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 come on. But the energy's there, they're young men, they're excited.
Shush, you imagine?
Yeah. Too much. He's like, what are you doing?
Right.
So he gets all killed. Like, you can't just. They're neshamas, and a lot of these guys aren't religious b'chlal.
Right.
They're from like left-wing houses, whatever. That doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right.
They're in this situation. It's all nothing. They're just souls who are trying to fight.
Wow.
Literally in the darkness of Gaza. Because remember, there's no electricity there as well. You have to understand what he's been living like for 70-something days. But what's the thing? He's learning Torah there as well. He's learning chitas. He's praying. Whenever he has a minute.
That's a definition of being Moser Nefesh, right?
Yeah, mamish, and that's the light of the Torah that it goes with Am Yisrael wherever they are. And now we have the luxury. The
By the
Torah,
way, these guys,
Yeah.
one of the things, I don't know if the exact cheshbon of the army,
Sure.
they're not allowed to use their phones for the most part.
yeah,
So
yeah.
these
they're
guys
not.
are
My
sitting
son
there.
has no phone as
These
soon as
guys
he
are
gets
sitting
into
there
Gaza.
without phones, without distractions.
You know how
without
amazing that is for
schmutz.
him. He's saying you start to think like a human being again.
Right.
Imagine because we grew up without that. I mean, I don't know if you did, but
Yeah.
I'm 43, so I grew up without phones.
I
Yeah.
didn't have a phone. I got a phone when I was like in high
And-
school. It was
and-
a Nokia with Snake.
Oh wow. Yeah, I didn't have that. So I didn't have Snake. So I literally had the opportunity to just connect with guys at his age. That's what I was doing. I was camping
Yeah.
with guys, drinking vodka, and
Yeah.
talking about real things. There was no
Shopping.
social media. There was no social media. There was none of that kind of stuff. Like it was a different. Even if you did something, you didn't take a picture of it and show anyone.
Right.
Like it was just connecting. Maybe there was a few cameras around just for like special moments, but it wasn't like the whole time. Everything you're experiencing through your phone. And so now when I came to Israel, we went to the Beis Midrash. There was no distraction.
Yeah.
I had no mobile phone with me in the Beis Midrash when I first did Tshuva. All I had was a Walkman, and that I used in my room. I didn't bring it to Beis Midrash. Beis Midrash I was learning, and there was nothing buzzing, no thought of any.
Yeah.
When I went to find my family, it was once a week on a payphone. Yeah. So it was a different life back then. And he says here, in Pagabach maneuver, when this Yetzer Hara comes to you, schlep him into the base midrash. We have that luxury. This is what my son doesn't. He can't just schlep him into the base midrash. He has to build his own base midrash around him, wherever he goes. It's a whole other level. The fruit Torah, it gives strength to the Malchus Kedusha as Mekabalas and Malchus, she bechinas nun. So we already said, the Chias, the Chochma, the Ches, is Chias min Chochma, she bechinas Ches, is Chabed, is Kasha Ches, Vahanun. We're joining the Ches to the Nun, the Chochma to the Malchus. It's good to do this.
A little diak here, I would say here. It says, in Pagabach menovel zeh, comma, then Mashkehu lebesam, meaning if he's pug on it,
the Yetzer Hara meets you and
we mashkehu the base medrash. We bring the manovel to the base medrash.
Yeah.
Or mashkehu the base medrash, meaning we then almost like create that base medrash, right? Mashkehu the base medrash. We're not saying always the physical one, but we bring it to the base medrash. We can.
Nice. So that's definitely what my son's doing, what you just said. So
that make a physical base medrash.
That we have the blessing of, like, I literally got up. Knowing I had this learning, for example, is a good thing. Because now, when I'm lying in bed, my wife's asleep, it's something, I've done all my social media stuff I do every night and day, because I'm always trying to update stuff and inspire people as best as I can. Even if I only hit a few people, I've noticed that those few people mean everything. Right. I've been getting feedback recently from all over the place, and it just reminds me that I'm not wasting my time. So I'm sharing all this stuff, but now I've finished doing that, and then there's that moment. What do? I've got this phone in my hand, and then I think of you in the morning, getting up or whatever it is, 6 a.m, and I need to get ready. So then I'm like, nah, I don't have time. It's like already 1 something in the morning, 1:30, whatever it was. I'm going to sleep because I need a few hours sleep at least. Yeah. So I can't. I'm not going to go up and go to the base midrash, but I am going to turn off my phone and just go to sleep. You know. So that in itself, knowing you have something to get up for, also is a big eitzah. The nicer or levana or chama, and this is making the light of the levana like the or chama, and this is very deep. This is Mashiach dik. This is what Kiddush Levana people already did. I did it a week ago because I had Saturday Shema. It was a nice clear sky, and I did it even though Hasidim wait till full 7 days. But I learned during the winter you don't wait. You do it as soon as you can do it. Kiddush Levana, ultimately the moon's going to be full the whole time. It's not going to be kam chaser. It's going to be like the sun, and that's going to be the night is going to be lit up like the day. So all the dinim, all the judgment, all the darkness is going to go away. We're not there yet, but that's something to look forward to. But that's the koyach of Chaim. That's the koyach of learning Kabbalah, that it brings the light of the sun to the moon. It brings the light of Chochmah, and this is B'Shlemus, in the ultimate sense. It brings the light of Chias, energy, to the Malchus. Right. And I said to you, and I'm trying it, and I'm not always achieving it, but that's how we have to be for our wives. We have to be a light to them, that they become a light themselves. Right. We have to shine to them. And one of the good things in this room where we're sitting right now, Rosh Hashanah's going to give a shir for the women. He is a light to the women here, because my wife comes to the shir, Kumi Uri. It's actually called Get Up and Light. Yeah, he literally is giving them hope and during this difficult time. And my wife actually sent a message to him last night, thanking him for the way the community was so machazik my son, and also the fact that his shirim are so machazik my wife. He said this is what the whole shul, the community was built for this, for people who have sons in the army, that there should be a place where they feel welcome and strengthened, and there's light and there's hope, and that's really important. Baruch Hashem. Okay, because come, zeh noifel. Even use the word come. Get up, which is kumi uri, zeh noifel, and this goes down. So it's us going up, Am Yisrael going up, and the Palestinians and Machshamam and the Esav Nicks and Hamas Nicks all going down. Yeah, Amen. As noifel is batu malchus the Rasha, and then falls down and becomes nullified, the evil kingship. K'mo shekosef Hoshea ki yesharim darchei Hashem, because these are the ways of Hashem. Tzadikim yochim bam. Tzaddikim, righteous people go in them, b'shoyim yechshubam. And that's what I saw Rabbi Leo D yesterday. I'm actually meeting with him today. You heard of Rabbi Leo D? Yeah. In that whole time period. So the first time I've always seen him around, and I've been in his Daladamas, but I always gave him space because he's going for a Velas, and I just felt like I wasn't the right time to bring up a discussion. Once my son just got back from the army, and he was in the same shul in Shamayim. My son got got to say Gomel. We didn't get to do it Shir David because he came a bit later. So he got to Gomel, and it sort of made a bit of an impression. And he was like, not having 5 people around him, so I could actually speak to him. I went up to him and I finally introduced myself, and we were having a meeting today. And one of the things he said, which is exactly this Nakuda, that what he's focusing on is the light, is the positive of Am Yisrael, that we're all a goyim, we're Asay Tov, we're this light of Chochmah to Malchus, and the way we're going to know who the bad story is, they're going to show themselves, and that's what they're doing now. Look at it says, Sadiqim Yochim Bo, we're going in the way of righteousness, which is light, humanitarian, human morals, soulful, like I always talk about, united souls, and they're going in the way of darkness. They're going against human values. They're immoral. They're killing. They're hurting. Even these protests, they're aggressive. They're violent. And what's going on in the rest of the world? They're not doing it in a moral, soulful way. They're a movement of hatred and death. It's not a movement of human love, and it's obvious to the world. Anyone who's got any normal sense, and they should be calling it out. Everyone out there, Leo's point is that everyone in the world needs to call out this movement of death and hatred, because it's just the opposite, and it's causing us, who are a nation of light, to have to deal in a way that's not our way, because we have no choice. We have to defend ourselves, but we don't want to be doing this. We were happy before October the 7th to just let them build up their part of land to the best it could be. We were not trying to make their lives difficult. We really weren't. We were just trying to protect ourselves from what they want to do to us.
That's the craziest part. That's the craziest.
Hainu Aidei Dach Hashem, Hainu Torah. This is Torah. The way of Hashem, this is Torah. Aidei Asadikim. Shedavekim Malchus to Kedusha, that they are davik to the holy kingship. Heim Nischazkim Mekablim Koach Aidei Zeh, and they get their strength through this Koach of Pashayim Yachshim Bo, and those who are stumbling, all these protesters on the Hamas side, Bechinas Malchus or Rasha, they're on the aspect of evil kingship. Bechinas Yetzhar. That's why Trudeau is letting them all in Canada, because he as many, or hopefully as many as he can take if he wants. That's what he wants. So he's on the Malchus of Rasha. He's on the bad side. He's the Yetzhar. Shenafu Nachna Ayidei Torah, and they're all going to fall through the Torah, because the clarity of Torah that it brings is going to show the path of righteousness versus the not. So it's very clear. And it's becoming more and more clear and obvious in the world.
Look at Europe. Europe was like, on their high horses, and a few of these countries, they let in all the Syrian refugees. And now Europe is overrun with
problems,
these cockroaches.
And they're not allowing people. And the amazing thing, I went to university with a lot of these guys, and they were trying to convert me into becoming part of their religion. And even then, we're talking about in the 90s, they had these like tapes which were spewing out hatred. Even then, and they had like these names for it, like they were against different. I don't remember all the stories they used then, but now they're just saying it straight out. It's the Jews in Israel. Back then, it was more like covered up what they were against. They had other names, but it's a certain focus on.
It's a death cult.
Yeah, it's a focus on hatred. Like, instead of can we do positive for humanity, it's how can we destroy parts of humanity, which is the opposite of what we're about. I mean, even their chant, it's obvious, to the river and sea. That means they want to kill, they want to commit genocide. It's simple. That was one of the things with the Leah D. So stop arguing with these people. There's no point. Let's just get clear what we're about. We're humanitarian, we're moral, and build a world that contains that. And anyone who's against that will have to be dealt with, because we can't have a world that wants to destroy us. We can't have a world of people that want to destroy us. Those people have to be contained or stopped or prevented. They cannot be allowed to destroy the good part of humanity. They just can't. It's a war between good and evil. It's simple. And this is receiving all the tefillas and bakashot. So we're all davening every day that the soldiers should be protected. How are we going to get those tefillas to go up? It's not enough just to say the words every day, Shemalas, and all these beautiful tefillas and the Mishaberachs. We have to bring it together with Torah. Torah is going to give it the kayach to go all the way up. Because we need to get that chen. By learning the Torah, it brings us that chen. You see how the Torah and Tefillah link up? It gives the chen, the chokhmah to the malchus. Then the tefillahs can go up. So he's saying that they do not enter the heart, these requests from us. It's as if his heart is a place, because he didn't really get chen. So if he doesn't have chen, then his heart's not really in it. It doesn't get the heart involved if you don't have chen. This is the beautiful thing. But Breslov is what Basa is also as Basa Lev. The key is to get the heart in the game. To not just be intellect, not just to rationally know these concepts, but it has to affect the heart level of a human being. That is where it's going to make the difference. The emotions need to be channeled the right way. Yeah. And they enter these words into his heart. How do they get into your heart? How do you bring these tefillahs into your heart? It says Torah al. It's on your heart. So how do you get it in your heart? By bringing it on your heart. Once you have the Torah on your heart, eventually it goes in. If you have it b'leiv, if you're the whole time b'levav, it's placed by Bilam. He was all heart. He listened to what his heart wanted, which brought him to all the wrong things. Our point is we're bringing the Torah on the heart, and it goes in, and it elevates the heart to a good place.
Bilam was the first hippie, maybe.
Yeah, but like bad gangster also. So
behind all the hippie movements is if you look deep into it, behind all of it is violence.
Yeah, that Manson guy, he was worst.
Yeah,
he was also a death cult in its own way.
Yeah, there was no. It's not. Everyone says it's about peace and love, but it's not really.
Well, they're missing the third most important part: truth.
Right.
You have to add in truth. Once you got the MS, the Torah, then it clarifies all the peace and love.
Look at the pro-Israeli rallies and the pro-Palestinian rallies. It's like
it's so obvious.
It's like
darkness and light.
And the people who go to the pro-Palestinian or even the BLM rallies, these were the hippies. These were the peace. And
supposedly, the word they use is they're not just liberals. They're also I used it yesterday as a joke, but they're what's the word? They're like advanced. There's a word for it. Like begins with P, I think.
Idiots.
Yeah, it could be that. Yeah. Anyway, good. I forgot the word because it's nonsense anyway. Progressives, yeah, it's nonsense. They're not progressing anything except the 8 Sahara. So the whole thing is, if you really want to request things, that it has to be from the heart. You speak from the heart, then your tefillah room is kabul. It's called tefillah shabalev. It's called avodas alev. It's a service of the heart. We're going to go do it in a minute. It's not enough just us to stand there and just say these words. We've got to get these words into our heart. That's one of the ways is to learn about tefillah. Yeah, spend time learning what tefillah is, what the siddur is, but also to learn Torah. Torah, eventually, if you learn enough Torah, it will open your heart up to all these tefillahs, and then the tefillahs go up. Because then you're davening, as it says in the Tanya, with Ava and Yira. When you daven with Ava and Yira, based on the Baal Shem Tov, then all your tefillahs have wings, and then the tefillahs go up. If you don't have the Ava and Yira, the love and the fear, the relationship with Hashem in a real way, then the tefillahs get stuck down here because they're not being lifted up through the right kind of emotions that should go along with the tefillah. Let's go ahead. This makes chen by joining together the ches, chokhmah to the malchus, to the mind to the rest of the person. And this is what the Torah says. Yadas chen. It's a famous pasuk in Mishlei. You elevating the chen. That's what it means. When you elevate the chen, it's because you're bringing Torah and tefillah together. Your chokhmah to malchus, your the bachor to the bittul. Yeah, the idea of being the chosen. Because what happens when you're a bachor? What happens when you have now responsibility? Yiddishkeit is all about Judaism. It's all about responsibility. We're not trying to blame anyone. We are responsible to be a light to the nation. We need to shine. We need to be responsible in our home, a light to our family. We're not trying to blame anyone. We're not blaming these protesters or anything. That's not the point. We need to be a light. We have a responsibility to be a light to the world. If we're not a light to the world is going to get angry with us because we're not doing our job. And then we're zocher to things that divrei chen. As in is kablim devar mivachshav mivachashasav. Yeah. By the way, one of the reasons why Hasidim never became so involved with Haskalah, with like that whole movement of Epicurus and got involved with the Enlightenment or the Endarkment, whatever you want to call it. That whole movement didn't affect the Hasidim. So one of the reasons that Sadik once said to me, and he says it over in the Shirim as well, he said because the Hasidus brings you learning Penimis Torah makes you responsible.
Interesting.
Because it brings you a real depth of the relationship and how responsible you are for it. And then once you have that responsibility, that achrayut, then you can't choose all these other ways. You're not going to make, justifications that you can logically part yourself from Torah mitzvahs. You're not going to have that Yetzirah because you want this relationship. You're in love with Hashem. It's just clear. It's not like there's no doubt. There's no doubts. There's no room for doubts. And this is lifting up Chayin. We come into Devar, and then all your tefillahs are heard. And imagine that now. You dive into Hashem and they're heard. You know what kind of life that is? We're talking about the King of the Kings, the ultimate boss, bigger than Bezos and all these big money guys, yeah? As impressive as they sometimes come across, and you're going into a meeting with a big boss. Maybe you've had those moments. I've had those moments. We're having a financial meeting and, or getting a mortgage from a bank. It's a heavy moment, yeah? Now, every day we get to talk to the King of Kings. He's the one who makes everything happen. And now you've got the power through Chayin to get your tefillahs and miskabel. This is like the ultimate eitzah. This is like the key to everything in life. Yeah. So just to give it the importance it deserves, this Torah. Kamo mi shemidaber divrei chayin, and like those who are speaking words of chayin, niknas devarim belev mevakesh, and they enter these words into the heart that he's requesting. Dahainu zeh mevachshim mimenu, and behold, and this will be received from him. Like those tefillahs will now be miskabel, they'll be received because it's in your heart, it's real. Zeh bechinas tough. This is the one letter we didn't get to yet. In the chayin is tough. Yeah, or saf, tough, how you want to say it. Yeah, tough. Zeh bechinas tough. Hainu aydein is chabu is kashu ches nun nice bechinas chayin. Aydei zeh nice bechinas tough. She loshen hakika rishima. So we're missing a new letter that we didn't have till now. Once you're doing this whole chayin story, you get this new letter tes, and that's joining together the ches and the nun, and you're making this aspect of chayin. Aydei nice bechinas tough. And then through that, you're going to make the aspect of the tough. Shuloshin hakika rishima. This is hakika is really important. It says chokek libecha. You have to carve out the Torah into your heart. That's the kind of way you need to learn. The Torah needs to come inside. Have you heard of chok? We don't really have such a feeling of it because we don't do it anymore. But back in the day, if you're an artist, maybe they used chokek on stone. They used to carve out, words on stone, like it had the luchas.
Right.
The original tablets was carved out, and it was all the way through, inside the stone, all the way through. That's the kind of, you've got a heart of stone, you've got to break it through, all the way, chokek, and carve out the Torah inside your heart, urishima, and it should have a lasting effect. It should have like when you daven, you feel a bit of love for Hashem, the hope is it will stay with you the whole day. That's right. That's what he's talking about, the most intense connection. That's the tough. K'moshe Kosev Yecheskel Chatavis tough. Yeah, apparently Chativis Ativisa tough. I have to look this up because I don't know this pasuk in Yecheskel. We'll look this up. Ayidei Torah, that gets carved to Marcus Kedusha. Chayin Yale Chayin. The Torah is called Yale Chayin. There's words of charm. It says words of request are received. And then it says this pasuk, tough, tough, loshen hakika rishima kamasha tivasa tough. Says the translation. This etching and marking is the concept of the tough. This is the meaning, and in he says eklestes or whatever that is. Yeah, what is eklestes?
That's the English word for
Kehelis.
I think it's Kehelis.
But it says here it's actually Yecheskel. So I don't know. Maybe that's a mistake.
Maybe he's talking about.
Oh no, sorry, I read ahead. Sorry, I must have been on a further forward. So etching and marking is Yecheskel. Tifas Tav. We're going to get to Chelis in a minute. The Tifas Tas means inscribe a mark.
All right.
It means inscribe a mark. So then Ki Ayidei. Yeah, Ayidei Nasa Bechinas Taf. She loshen Chakika Rishima Kamosh Kosev Tifas Taf. Ki Ayidei Chayin Nechakik Arisham Mokum Alev Mevakesh Lekabo B'Bakasha. That through the means of chayin, you chokek, nechakak, you're carving out, and you're nurusham, and you're making an impression. Yeah, that would be the best translation, impression. I think that's what he uses here. Let's just see. carved out and marked in the heart. He says marked. That's an impression. Mokum in the heart, and then all the requests are received. And Hashem will then receive those bakasha. And your words will be heard. He's repeating it again. That's one of the things Rabbi Nachman does. Why does he repeat things again and again? Rabbi Nachman as well. Again and again and again. Why? Because that's one of the ways you get it in your heart.
Right.
It's like a mantra, yeah? It's like constantly repeating something again and again till it goes into your heart.
Right.
If you just say it once, you might have just said it superficially. To get it inside, you have to. That's why again and again, Rabbi Nachman's Torahs are very repetitive because they want to chokek elibecha. It's like the way people used to learn Musa. They used to repeat it again and again and again. The Gadlus Hashem, again and again, the greatness of Hashem, again and again and again, until they start to really feel the greatness of Hashem, as an example. Yeah, and this is now we're getting to the Kehelis. What was the word the English funny word? Kleslees. I don't even know what that is. And the words of the Chomim are with nachas and they are heard. They are words spoken gently and they are heard. Yeah. So those words are spoken gently and are heard. Nachas daika. Why nachas daika? What's nachas? You got it? The word nachas.
Yeah.
What would you say nachas is? Let's see if you can guess it.
Well,
What
the English translation of nachas, right?
It's gentle. In this context, your words are gentle.
Right.
But what is it? What are the three letters?
Oh, it would be nun from Malchus, ches from Chachma,
Oh,
Tav from...
So you got it. You see, they're the letters that Rabbi Nachman is making a deal out of. It's based on a pasuk. See how it all ties in? It's not just like interesting brushy tavas or deep. It's an actual pasuk that comes alive suddenly that connects this whole Torah now. Everything we just learned is in this one pasuk.
Right.
Because these gentle words are being heard. Your words of tefillah are now being heard. Why? Because they're nachas. Why? Because they're chen. Chochmah to Malchus, and they're chokek libecha, they're inscribed on your heart. They're the biggest level of like kavana you can imagine. You're completely enveloped in your words of tefillah, and that's through the koach of learning Torah and bringing Malchus to bringing Chochmah to Malchus, and that elevates all your tefillahs to be makabel, and that's what the pasuk is saying. By speaking gently, your words will be heard. By speaking with nachas, not just gently, nachas with the Chochmah to Malchus, the Chochmah to the Malchus, to chokek, to bring them into your heart. Because tough is always a word of, tough is always like lamaisa, bringing it to reality. Yeah? That's what's the last letter of the Aleph base. It means to bring to reality. Emes, taking the emes and making it reality. Haina bechinas ches hanau. Beches hanau ayidei zeh naisa osius naches as nishmayim devarim niskabel b'chosho kanal. Isn't that beautiful? So all links up now. Everything we've just learned. Thank you, Hashem.
Right. So it's like the recipe.
Yeah.
The recipe he's trying to say here. Ultimately, we go back to the beginning, right? I mean, we still haven't figured out the whole Asher Tumi there yet.
That's true.
But with the recipe for having our, Al Yidei Torah Miskabel called Tefillas Bakashas, right? We want ultimately we want our Tefillas and our Bakashas to be, accepted.
Right.
And the recipe here ultimately comes down to us. It's a recipe which includes, right? We said the ches, the chiyas from the chachma. The chiyas from the chachma is when we take that seichel, right? We take the seichel which is in the bechina of chachma. We take that seichel, and we take also. Was there another part of that? There was the seichel of the chachma. Bechinas Yaakov. That was.
The whole Indian is the light, the panemius.
That was Malchus.
Bringing it into Malchus through bittul.
Right.
Malchus is bittul. Malchus is.
That's the nun.
Yeah,
right?
that's the nun.
Nun is the Malchus. Right. The nun is the Malchus where we make the Ar Levana, the Ar Chama, which is the next step. Right. So first it's about taking the chiyas from the Chachma, and we take the Malchus, or we take the.
So I'll give you one other thing that will help very practical, and it's a lost art because of the phones.
Right.
But my wife made this it was inspiration from Leo's D's whole campaign of gratitude, and we had a bat mitzvah, and it was just after the war had begun. We printed these.
Yeah.
And gratitude journal in honor of Mindy's bat mitzvah. In Hebrew, Yuman Hodia. The idea is to thank Hashem every day and fill it out. I'm going to give one to him when I see him today. And you fill it out, you write in your, attitude of gratitude. And that is when you remember the point that connects here is by writing it. Chokek. It's the certain, because you can't carve. We're not carving stone anymore. So how do we have a connection? By writing things. The pen is, it says, is like the scribe of the heart. Like when you're writing something, it starts to inscribe in your heart a little bit. It's just like carving out. One of the ways that's why it's important, to still constantly create something. Be creative. Be in that realm of creativity where you actually create something that wasn't before. Like one of the ideas would be, say on the way back, write down some of these ideas that you've learned, or put them on a phone, or write an article, write a post about this Torah. That's one of the things I try and do. Try to take what I learn and bring it into something real. And by writing it down and talking about it, you start to internalize it. So it's not just this lofty level of Rabbi Nachman of praying on it. For our generation, you can also write about it. You can talk about it. You can post about it. The whole point is you start to live it. That's the real thing. You start to live these ideas, and it's a different way of life once you start living with these Torahs, because it's not just to learn it and then forget about it. It's to live with it.
Right.
Torah's Chaim. It's meant to impact our life. Kiyam Chayeinu v'Yorach Yameinu. So we have to bring it into our life. So, like one of the things I've got more inspiration from, right, with my son right now, for example, to praise him, is all the years of being in Cheder and learning Gemara and learning about Amunah, and now seeing him put it into real action in the most crazy way in the war.
Right. Yeah.
Bring it alive, that he is walking around with Amunah and Hashem in the most like life or death situations, and not coming out Hashem with any false ways of viewing life. Like he's totally clear.
Right.
What a Jew's about, what our purpose is, even in a situation of war. And that's how we do war. We do it with a neshama, we do it with soul. We're not just, butchering.
These guys are all,
He said there's no havamina, there's no thought of raping anyone, there's no there's just none of that stuff's going on.
What I was thinking is funny, they posted a picture I saw that they found. It looked like a few million shekel or something.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And I was like...
He's found like 100 shekel, he gave it to tzedakah.
Right, like I imagine like no one's just finding, shekel and stuffing it in their pockets there.
No.
Guys are all...
That 100 shekel he took with him as a memory of it, but he then straight away gave it to tzedakah as soon as he got back.
Tzedakah or something.
Gave the whole thing to tzedakah.
This happened in America. They found a few million shekel. Usually when they have that, like they busted and seized, they always add maybe some money to it, because they usually put some in their pockets.
Yeah, it's a big test. Okay, Yaakov behina seiku canal, and Yaakov is the aspect of seiku. Okay, zocher lachein, and Yaakov is zocher techein. K'ma shekosav ki chaneni alekim mechili, because Hashem was will be gracious to him. Yeah. Because Hashem was gracious to him, he was able to, do his mission in the world. And that's how he's able to then pass on that chain and bless the rest of the tribes, his children, the tribes, the Shiftei Ka. And these are the children that Hashem blessed him with. I think this is all Parshas Vayishlach, when he's dealing with Yaakov, with Esav, Yaakov's dealing with Esav, and he's saying, I've been blessed, I have chain, and I'm blessing and God blessed my children with chain. Binyamin lo hayaz. Binyamin was not yet born yet. Al came Baruch Yosef b'chain. So therefore he blessed Yosef b'chain. Yeah, because Binyamin was still in the womb of Rachel. He only had her after that encounter with Esav.
Right.
And Rachel, this week, Parsha, we see she was buried in Ephrata, where we're sitting right now.
Yeah.
It's like Derech Ephrata, right where we are right now, as talked about in this week's Parsha. And one of the reasons she passed away is she was giving birth to Binyamin, and he didn't get this bracha of chain, but Yosef did. That Hashem blessed my son with chain. So that's all in Vayishlach, which is what I thought. Dafka Yosef hayochel levaruchu b'chein. And then Yosef himself, it says later on in Mekatz, was able to bless with chein. Ki Yosef hayo kolo b'Yosef b'chinas Yaakov. Because Yosef, and this is everyone was talking about this Shabbos, included in himself more the aspect of Yaakov. It was like an extension of Yaakov. Yaakov's like the fire, Yosef's the flame. Yaakov was like the tzaddik, and Yosef is bringing that tzaddik into Mitzrayim and spreading that light. You know, he was that bechina, the extension of Yaakov. Eila told us Yaakov Yosef. These are the descendants of Yaakov and Yosef. Yeah, or Yaakov to Yosef, or Yaakov Yosef. He hired Ikar Tadosav, that this was the main. Told us the Tolada means to like give birth, like the main coming out of Yaakov. Ki Yaakov Yosef Chachada Chashive, because Yaakov and Yosef are like considered one, and that was sorry with no table. No. That was one of the. See, that's something we need the Shulchan. Remember we learned about the Shulchan. Shliach Nun. Yeah. I'm just not the kind of guy to start wasting time taking it out. That's not my job. Yeah, Ki Yaakov Yosef Chachada Chashive. Yaakov and Yosef are considered one, and everyone was talking about it this Parsha last week by Yigash and even Mekatz as well. How could the brothers not recognize Yosef when he was so like Yaakov? So that was one of the big questions. Yeah, we can talk about that. Everyone was discussing it recently. And Zohar v'Shlach v'Yeshev, and this is all according to the Parshas right now. This is exactly what we've been talking about. Ki Yaakov, but it's a big chizuk, by the way, when you're learning Torah, that connects up. It's flowing exactly where the Parshas have been. Mm-hmm. So it means Hashem's with us. Right now we're in the Chi Yaakov, we're at the climax of that whole time period. Ki Yaakov Yosef v'chad chashivei, okay, ne'amar ki Yosef. It says in Devarim, and that's in Zosa Brocha, I think, Bachor Shoro Hadalo. The Bachor, he was the Bachor, like we learn, remember, Chochma's Bachor. Shoro is the ox, and his ox, Hadalo, and he was beautiful in it. Bachor, hu bechinas ha-seichel, canal, like everything we just learned, is the aspect of Chochma and intellect. The Shoro, Loshen Histakelis. Shoro apparently is the Loshen language of gazing very intently. Kisikin Histachel, because remember, what saved Yosef? Remember, he had Eshes Potiphar, he had the Yetzer Hara chasing him. By Eshes Potiphar meant, the wife of Potiphar, that meant all of business, all of Hollywood, all the Yetzer Haras of that go together with women and the whole thing, the not women the Yetzer Hara, but the tiver of it, the desire of it, the false side of it, that whole energy was attacking Yosef. It wasn't just one woman. She used all her girlfriends. She did everything she could to get Yosef in bed with her. Everything. And that's like our generation. It's like it's trying to distract us in that way, in that Kedusha. So we're at war with that element. Yeah. What was Yosef's whole thing? He was looking at the image of Yaakov. That's what saved him. The image of Yaakov, his father, Chochma, the Bachor, the Chochma, back to Yaakov. And then he was saved from that whole test. Because he had with him, he was gazing deeply at everything and seeing through. Because when you look through the Tiver of women, what do you see? At the end of it, what is it? After you've done it, it's a smell. Yeah, you've done it. It's a smell. It's sticky. It's disgusting. Like if you think about what it really is, not when it's creating a beautiful child and love, like the right way, but when it's just pure desire. How does a person feel afterwards? Empty. They just empty themselves into nothing for nothing, no reason. There was no hemshech. They're not trying to make a child. They're not married. There's no responsibility again. There's no achraya. There's just pure taiva. So then that experience afterwards, that's the trick of the Yetzer Hara. It makes it look so amazing. And then afterwards you realize it's nothing. Yeah. And that's the tzaddik looks deeply into things and sees through the facade that it looks so amazing. Really, it's nothing. Zeh shor loshen istalkus. That's the shor, the language of looking, gazing deeply into things. You need to look into everything with intellect, in every single thing. Zeh hadalo. That becomes Targumunkelis zivle, loshen or. Hada becomes, the idea beautifies in him. How does that mean? Ziv. Ziv is like a ray of light. Loshen or is the language of light. Just like we had at the beginning of the Torah. And the seichel lights up everything. Even in a place like we just saw in Gaza, and the lighting of menorah, that little light, you saw how much energy, just those few flames, it generated such an energy and power that it lit up the seichel of those Jews in Gaza, lighting the menorah. The zochel estakel or seichel sheisham b'chol davar v'koi v'asel Hashem yisbarach. And then you're zoch to look deeply into everything and come close to Hashem yisbarach. That's pretty much like the main part of the Torah now. We just did.
Wow.
Now, I want to skip this whole Aramaic because this is going to be too lengthy, and I want us to get to your question.
Right.
Zeu Ashrei Tamimei Derech. You got it? We're skipping a
What are we
paragraph.
skipping here?
It's too. It's going to be. We can get back to it maybe when we've got more time, but I don't think it's the main point of the Torah.
Right.
We're going to go straight to all this Aramaic stuff. We're going to jump over. We're going to get to the last part of the Torah.
Zehu.
Your question.
Okay.
V'zeu Ashrei Tamimei Derech. Ashrei Loshen Istalkus. Then we're going to explain the pasuk at the beginning.
Okay.
Just what you wanted to know. How's that connected?
Let's do it.
Loshen Istalkus, looking deeply. Tamimei Derech, Bechinas Yaakov Ish Tam. I was going to say that as well. I think I even did at some point. Yaakov, he was the Ish Tam.
Right.
So that fits now everything we just said.
Right.
Ashrei is Loshen Istalkus, similar
How?
to Shor.
I guess.
The same Loshen as Shora. Same, there's some reason it's, I don't know exactly the root. I'm not such a linguist and man
Is he
addicted.
saying this with like with diktuk, or is he saying it in terms of?
Well, we
like
could look up again this
the
this-
Panemius Torah.
I think it's Penimus, but it's also I think it fits as well. Here, Ashrei. This is just gazing. I just open up on it. Amazing. Ashrei displayed the combination shin and resh. Our root letters indicates gazing or focus. So it's linguistic. Yeah, it is. It fits because he's a Tam Chacham Nifla. He knew everything, so he's able to bring out from the root of the word. Ashrei is shin resh, which is looking deeply into things. And that was amazing. I just opened up on it. So that was meant to be said. Tamimei Derech, Bechinas Yaakov Ish Tam. And Yaakov is the Ish Tam. He's the Tamimei Derech. Shu Bechinas HaSeichel Canal. Because he's using his mind into everything. He's lining up everything around him with Chokhmah. Hainu Lezachus Estaka Ala Seichel Sheis B'chol Davar. Shemin Chizyachav Ish Tam. And remember I said this is the authentic intelligence, not this artificial. He's really seeing what is the root of everything in creation. Constantly, again and again. He's not constantly processing this fake form of intelligence.
Right.
He's constantly going and seeing what the true intelligence within everything in creation. That's authentic intelligence, the true AI. That's my like new mission statement. Authentic intelligence. We need to fight this fake intelligence. V'zeh zochin ayidei Torah, zeh hochim b'Torah Hashem, and that's the rest of the pasuk. How are you going to get to this authentic intelligence? Through Torah. And that's going in the Torah Hashem. Ki ayidei shalamed Torah b'koyach, by learning, and not just Torah, learning it with strength, with energy. Ayidei zeh nosen koyach l'malchus ha'kedusha b'chinas nun. Think about it. Like, you ever saw anyone like Tony Robbins or any of these guys who impact and have massive followings? What do? They do things with energy. Have you noticed? They if you want to get like into what they're talking about, they get everyone jumping around. They get everyone talking it out, getting alive with it. And that energy brings it into reality, and then they're successful from it. Whereas if you come like half asleep and you come into your business meeting or another Zoom meeting with these schmucks, you're not going to really get far. You failed before you start. You've got to come with energy. The Kabo Asay, Minaseko, Shubichinis Ches, as I nice in Chayin, is Kablim Devarv Kanal. And once again, by learning with Koyach, you bring Malchus to Gedusha, that's Bechinas Nun, and the Kabo Minaseko, Shubichinis Ches. You're receiving it from the intellect, that's the aspect of the Ches, which brings that again, Azai nice Chayin. There's Kablim Devarv Kanal, and it's Ala Chayin, and then you lift up the Chayin, Chashiva Sho Yisrael, you lift up the importance of Yisrael. V'kol tefillas of bakoshes nekablim, and all of your tefillas and requests are received. Losh and yeah, that's it. That's the Torah.
Okay.
What do you think?
Oh, so the rest is.
We skipped a little bit because it went off into Aramaic. I don't want to go there because I might get a little bit stuck in that. But do you see? Did it answer your question about Ashrei Tamimei Derech?
Yeah, definitely answered it. I'm gonna on my own time. I'm gonna have to like go through it and kind of like really. He says a lot of the very like deep concepts that he just kind of throws out there a lot.
And he repeats it again and again.
Repeats it again and again.
Because once again, he wants to chokek libecha. He wants to engrave it on your heart. It has to become part of you, and you have to understand you have it within you anyway. Because before you were born, you're in your mummy's womb. All of the Torah was taught to you. Hashivenu avinu l'Torah said, "Return to me your Torah." What does it mean, return to me? I already learned the whole Torah when I was in my mummy's womb. What happened then? Isaac came out, an angel came and banged me on the lip. That's the mark on the lip, that little imprint, and took away all the Torah came back out. And now what do I have to do? I have to return to it. So inside, deep in a deep way, it's already there. But I have to awaken that truth that's within my neshama through learning on an external level to bring out again that Nakuda Panemius inside of me. And then that Nakuda Panemius comes alive again. And now we're starting to walk around with the Torah. And that's why it's so important to pray on it, to learn about it, to talk about it, to live it, to talk to Hashem about it, to ask Hashem to help you with it. Because to learn Torah with energy is not an easy thing nowadays. We're very distracted. We're very tired. All that is ours, fiddling around with the stupid phone or whatever it is that's distracting us. It tires us out a little bit emotionally. It's very emotionally draining to have your son be in war. I don't want my son in war.
You see the Chavrushas there was clapping.
Oh, Simcha, the energy, yeah.
Remember when the first time I went to Uman for Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah,
it was
the
like
energy.
Chiddush, just seeing like Rosh Hashanah, you see these guys just like jumping up.
Every time they get to Hamelech.
No, but even without it, like I davened in the clothes there. The clothes is like, that's like where the real Breslover is. You know,
I've davened there standing next to a Vorish.
Right
at the front. And it's like power, it's fire.
Meilech Silberger.
It's energy there.
You know Meilech Silberger?
Yeah.
You do? I think he's from your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I heard of him, yeah. He's in Manchester, I think.
Manchester, yeah. Oh, I love him.
Yeah. I went to Manchester a few times and I saw him there. And then the more Chassidish shul there, like aggressive shul.
Yeah, he I met, and like actually I davened right next to him. And I remember during the Birchas Kohanim, I was mamish like under his hand. And I just kept thinking like, what is chus?
I'm a Kohen as well, so
it's
definitely powerful. You duchen, that's the amazing thing. By Uman, you duchen.
Right.
I mean, maybe it's because it's Yom Tov, but I think even in non-Yom Tov, they duchen. It's like Eretz Yisrael up there. They hold that.
It has a kedusha.
Yeah, I felt that there. Yeah.
You feel it.
I mean, not only is it kedusha, but there's so much Israelim there. So much Israelis come there.
Yeah,
they're not scared of wars. Even during the Corona, during the wars, the amount of Israelis there was unbelievable. They have no fear. They just come. They go to Rabbeinu no matter what. They bring their kitchen and they make barbecues and they have a good time.
Israelis are amazing.
They're not looking at all the nonsense. They're on fire. They're just ready to go. And all us Ashkenazim are trying to work out, do I need life insurance, all the cheshbonos and like
bulletproof van. I love hearing the word bulletproof van.
They just go.
Call me, do I need a bulletproof van to come to Efrat?
Yeah. Right, yeah. Like stop overthinking and just do, man. Have some tamimus.
Yeah, tamimus.
But anyway, the point is the way we're going to get to that is by learning, and that's what this hour is about. So we could ask Hashem if we're zocheh to learn tomorrow. We'll have either a new Torah or we can go over what we just did, whatever.
Right, maybe we'll do like a quick day of Chazara just to like get the concept.
Internalize it. And then next time we'll have a new Torah.
Because I think as we go forward, he's going to go back on
Chabad,
the
maybe.
Like the ches and the nun and the
maybe we should learn something in Tanya next time. I brought Tanya with us just in case. Just something in Tanya foundational. I'm going to be doing a summary later today at some point because I'm learning it every day. Right now it's been talking about actually the idea of tefillah, and it's going to be important, very relevant to what we're learning as well. Bringing real tefillah.
The Chaim Miller Tanya, the green one.
Yeah, like, even look at this. Even this lashon. Shachar David Deborim ein case takis kosher kind of gabi bechinas levush. See the same kind of lashonis. Levush penimi shalashu machshava shemenu nemshachar devorim he chayusim ein tzarich loma gabi maos atzmus and nefesh ein eser bechinaseh and now Chabad chilu shem nemshachar oisis nemshavazu especially with dibo zeh b'kumedaber ki machshava. He gam came bechinas oisis. See, like bringing the chokhmah and the chokhmah and the machshava the dibo rak shein ruchnias dachas. It's like the same kind of idea, bringing the Chabad into the
Balatanya lived after Reb Nachman.
No, they were the same time.
Really?
And they met each other, yeah.
Really?
But they were very different in their avoda. Chabad focused on hisbonenus, on thinking deeply into Hashem, and Rabbi Nachman's avoda was hisbonenus.
Were they clashed?
No. But they did. There was quite a strong statement. Rabbi Nachman went to one of his Maimarim and was sat there for like whatever it was 9 hours, whatever it was, endless Torah from Rabbi Balatanya. And at the end, he said, I was not mispal from it. Like, it didn't affect me so much, except for one nakuda. So that's a bit of an insult, a little bit.
Right.
But Rabbi Nachman's pretty sharp like that. Like when it comes to other tzaddikim, for whatever reason, I don't think he meant it in a negative way. Just on an honest way. Like it wasn't his way to sit there 9 hours so much Torah. Didn't affect him the way his way is more direct. But more into das, whereas Rabbi Nachman, Balata's more into Chochmah, Chabad. It's like, but anyway, he said it didn't move me except for one nakuda. He mentioned that you need to have rachamim, mercy on your soul. This idea of having rachamim in your soul, and that's by learning Torah, by davening. It comes up in the Tanya. You see this concept that the way you have mercy on yourself, if you really, they always talk about self-care.
Right.
The way you're going to have mercy on yourself is by learning, nourishing your soul. Yeah. If you really want to have mercy on your soul. Feed your soul. So that point, he said that moved him. But everything else, it was just too much. It wasn't his way.
It wasn't his avodah.
No. So they did have that connection. I think there was even a famous meeting they had together, but it didn't turn into more. So anyway, we should take it with us, these Torahs, and bridge all the tzaddikim, because we're in a generation of Likut, of bringing all the tzaddikim together. So I do believe we need to learn Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Nosson, Balatanya. We need to learn everyone, and with that we'll have the strength to fight our Yetzer Hara in this generation.
Amen.